Hello everybody, welcome back to Mr. Inbetween Season 3 review. That is the show we'll be discussing on my television review series today. We're starring our great criminal, Ray Shoesmith. It's not facetious, I actually think he's a good criminal character. We just finished watching the show. Again, the show is hosted on Hulu. It was an FX original. This is Season 3. There was 9 episodes, and Season 2 had 12, and Season 1 had 6. Kind of strange structure for the episode length. But, again, reading the intro, Mr. Inbetween is a half-hour comedy series inspired by the cult film The Magician and centers around Ray Shoesmith, juggling a relationship, parental responsibilities, friendship, and a sick brother. While earning a living would be difficult for anyone, but it's particularly difficult for Ray, since he's a criminal for hire. Ray takes care of the people, collecting debts, relieving them of drugs and guns, and often taking care of them on a more permanent basis. Ray demands respect and does not tolerate it when someone disregards his very clear code of ethics. Networks FX and Fox Showcase, watched it on Hulu. Again, a crime show. So my overall impressions, I liked it. I was consider bumping it up to an A-. There's still a couple emotional scenes in here that I didn't really think fit the overall tone of the piece. And I just want to see a new character. I just want to see a new character. Broken human relationships, yeah, that's everyday real life. Let me just see something new or interesting. Just going for pure entertainment value. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, I like the episode length. I like kind of like the dull nonchalantness of Ray Shoesmith. I think his criminality paired with the violence in the production of the show is good. Like the Aussie banter, I reckon some Sunnies, definitely not today. But I got Denny's. I got Denny's and I got the Dunny paper, and I reckon a lot of things. So I like the Aussie banter. Like I said, in Season 1 it was kind of hard just to hear the delivery of the lines. By Season 3 it's not hard to understand what's going on. Maybe a line here or there, but I don't have to strain to try to listen to the accent. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was going to bump it up to the A- range. I'm going to keep it at B+. I thought the first probably, 7 to 8 episodes, that was only 9, so probably the first 4 to 5 episodes were really good, and then the other ones were decent with some emotionality that was kind of, not really detracting, but just kept it from being bumped up to the A- range. Through episode 4 and 5, this thing's going to go to the A-, but I'm going to keep it at a B+. Thoroughly enjoy it, think it is heavily entertaining. So the violence paired with the tone of Ray's characterization, I think works well. So I did look it up. This is the final season. It was canceled, so I could have gone for a couple more seasons of Ray Shoesmith. I thought he worked well. And even like the in-between scenes when he's just like talking with Gary about some philosophical thing, which whatever context, comedy, TV show writing, people around a campfire, philosophy never strikes me as anything because I've already proven everything that we could think about. But just like the off scenes of getting not violence or not being crying and talking with his daughter Brittany or whatever, I don't know if it's just because I don't hear the Australian accent that much, but I thought the banter was a little better written than some of the American TV shows I've watched. And a lot of the scenes are very, very like there's no one saying much, a lot of things. They're just kind of looking at each other. For whatever reason, it just works for me. So I thoroughly enjoyed it in B+. So if you've not seen this show and would like to, we'll be discussing the plot synopsis and character development, so there will be spoilers. Turn this video off now if you have not seen the show and would like to. And here we go. So the season starts up. A little crew is going to try to set up, again, Ray, and Gary is certainly like his right hand. Ray's just like an independent contractor dude. Gary's kind of one of his right hand man, and Dave, I think, is his other kind of like right hand man in criminality. Just some mates and blokes out there running around. So crew plans to steal guns from Ray and I think it's just Gary at this point. I think it's Ray and Gary. And so Ray and Gary go to deliver the guns. They get bashed quite a bit. I don't think Ray goes to therapy at all this season, at least not that I remember. But they get bashed up pretty good. And the way they did it is they kind of beat up the dude that was, delivering the guns with him, so it looks like it wasn't a setup. Ray instantly makes the guy as they were being set up. So after, they get beat up, Ray and Gary get beat up real bad, and the other dude, gets fake beat up and puts blood capsules in his mouth to make it look like he's bleeding, and Ray runs him over with a car. Miraculously doesn't break any legs on that, which is kind of strange. So Ray ties him up, has him call his mates, and it's like, bring us back the guns and $30,000, and we'll let you go. And so the crew comes back. There's probably about 3 of them. It's like a dad and his sons kind of a crew, and they come back. They return the guns to Ray, and he's like, I want the $30,000. He's got the dude tied up. He's like, well, untie my guy first. Ray unties the guy, gets in the car, and the guy's like flicks him off, and then just starts backing away. It's kind of like set up in like an industrial warehouse kind of area, and there's like a stone wall that you can't really see behind. Ray comes back with a shotgun, starts blasting. Dave and Gary are in the woods sniping at him, so they wipe off that whole crew. That was a good criminality scene. Is Ray, they've murked the whole team. One of the son who was driving the car got his head blown apart. Like I said, the production of the violence in this show is good. It's pretty gory, but not overly gory. But I like the violence in this one. So he gets his head blown off, and then the dad of the crew, is kind of firing, gets out of the car, but he's clearly takes a couple shotgun rounds to the back. He's on his last leg. The intensity of the violence is done. He's just propped up dying, and Ray goes in there, and they just kind of like chat. And so it's just the approach to the violence, and to once the death is done, or like the intensity of potentially dying is done, Ray's just like, what's up, mate? So I don't know. It's just I like Ray's character, and that was the first major plot development. Second plot development is Ray goes to prison this season. So he's driving down the street while some dude is walking in a crosswalk that isn't marked, and he hits Ray's window. Ray gets out, punches him in the face. Cops are at the catty corner across the street, pick him up, send him to jail. So he goes to jail. He fucks with his cellmate, has never been to jail before, so he fucks with him a little bit. The cellmate ends up getting beat up pretty bad in prison. You don't really hear much after that from him. In prison, Ray goes and he does some work. Again, remember season 2, him and Freddie kind of had they've been mates for a long time, but Freddie told Ray he couldn't work at the club anymore, and Freddie's like the club owner of the series. Or just like one of the main money dudes giving away money for hits. But Freddie visits Ray in prison and is like, I think the guy he references is Vinnie Williams, again another character I can't pick up off the cast list. But there you meet another guy, another criminal dude. And so Freddie tells Ray, there's somebody in here that if you beat him up a little bit, this guy will give you $10,000. So I'm thinking that's Vinnie Williams. I'm just going to call it that if it's the wrong character. I'm sorry. But so Ray does a job for Vinny, just calls it prison napalm, just like sugar and boiling water, so it just like melts the sugar on his face and causes scarring. And so that happens. He meets Vinny once he gets out of jail. To get out of jail, Dave kidnaps the dude that is pressing charges from Ray's assault for punching him, makes him dig his own grave. It's like, if you don't drop the charges, you'll be in this grave soon. And so Dave, by force, gets Ray out of prison by threatening the guy pressing charges. And so I said Ray meets Vinny. Again, I think it's the right character. But he meets this other criminal enterprise dude. And Vinny's like, I'm looking to upscale. And Ray's like, I'm more of an independent contractor. And so Vinny's like, okay, I'll call you when I have some work. And so Ray and Gary go to a high school reunion. Kind of a more non-violent plot development. Nobody really remembers Ray. They get into a little scuffle. Approach some girls they used to like, and that's pretty much it. Ray sees Allie and Gary sees Tati. So again, Ray broke up with Allie in season 2. She's just a passerby in this season. Ray sees her, sees that she's pregnant, and it is just kind of like, reminiscent about, maybe not being over, a couple of comments there. Gary sees Tati is more fun. Remember, Gary likes the golden showers. Gary's a fun character. So he sees Tatiana sneaking away, so he's suspecting cheating. So he climbs up on the balcony and sees Tatiana is cheating, but with a girl. So his marriage goes to shit, and so what does he do? Gary decides to become an entrepreneur. And what is his big business idea? Snuff films. So he's going to film people having sex. So he sets up on a gay dudes at a gay dude's. His first job is 2 gay dudes. It was a scene that actually made me laugh, fucking hilarious. Because Gary's, getting used to being a porn production, and they don't show any sex, really. The only really sex scene you have in the whole show is Ray and Allie briefly in season 2. And there is one other one in this season, but not like full-on sex. But when Gary's going to film, the 2 dudes get ready to have sex, one of the dudes like flaps his butt cheeks, and it literally made me fucking laugh out loud. So that scene was fucking hilarious. And Gary's business takes off as a porn producer throughout the season. So the other sex scene that just popped into my mind is in the season. Brittany is obviously, she's still a main character. She's 12. She's growing up, being a young lady, not getting along with the parents too well. She gets a boyfriend, and they just kind of hold hands sometimes. And there was actually another truly funny scene is. Ray and Gary take Brittany to go hang out with her friends, and they decide they're just going to spy on them. And so they're just like at a beach, and Gary and Ray are in the car. They're watching the boyfriend, pulls out a cigarette, smokes it, offers it to Brittany. She says no. The dude tries to put his arm around her and kiss her, and she kind of like pushes him away. And then she's like walking back on this cliff bluff, and Gary and Ray are looking through binoculars, and she just kind of stops, and they're like, what is she looking at? And then she calls them, and then it's this kind of funny thing, and she's like, well, if you guys are here, can you buy us some chips or something? That was, again, just another, a mundane, simple scene that was fun and enjoyable, and I thought truly, truly funny. So, also, throughout the season, Brittany, she comes home one day, and she's high on ecstasy or MDMA, and that's the other sex scene is Ray goes to threaten the drug dealer, and he's getting a little blowy when he shows up. But besides that, there's really no sex in the entire show. One scene with Ray and Allie. What else does she do? Brittany finds Ray's gun this season, shoots it through the wall. Ray smells the gunpowder and scolds her a little bit. So Ray and Brittany, again, Brittany just growing up, entering puberty stages, little tiffs with the parents, seems to be her development this season, and then a little bit later on. And so the next major criminality development is Ray and Zoe run drugs poorly. So you meet this other character, Zoe, which is it's not set up in the show as great as to why she's in there. I'm assuming it's just if they're running drugs, have a female in the car so it doesn't look as suspicious as just a single male. So I think that's what her role is. But Gary's doing a job for Vinny. Gary also does another job for Vinny previously where he disposes of a body. Somebody in Vinny's crew has a girl over and she overdoses and dies. And Vinny wants Gary to throw her to the hogs. And Ray doesn't think that's super civil. So he gets rid of the body, but he buries her instead of throwing her to the hogs. And so that was a minor development job Ray did for Vinny. The next one is running some drugs. So him and Allie are going, they're driving. They spend one night at a hotel. They do the nasty. Again, they don't. It's not a sex scene, but they definitely hook up. So Ray has another little love interest going on. They take some pictures at the diner the next day, and then when they're running the drugs the next day, driving down again, just in the outback in the bush of Queensland. I don't know the geography of Australia, but they hit a kangaroo. Fucking Roo. I reckon Roo didn't have his sunnies on and ran out in the road, and so the car flips. They're severely injured. Well, Ray's not really injured. Zoe doesn't look to be severely injured. She gets knocked out unconscious, but doesn't seem to be severely injured. A couple stops to try to help them. Vinny comes back around, sees there's going to be some witnesses because they have drugs in the car, and so Vinny just kills these 2 random old people in their Mercedes camper van going for camping or something. And Ray's not super happy with that. Thinking he could have handled it, but gets rid of the bodies. Gets rid of the camper van and tells Vinny to take Zoe to the hospital. And so Zoe gets in the... Ray does that. Ray meets back up at the checkpoint with Vinny, and Vinny's like, sorry, mate, Zoe didn't make it. And so they have kind of tense standoff. You can tell Ray, and as a viewer of the show, it's heavily implied that Vinny just got rid of Zoe as well. And so Ray was kind of falling in love with Zoe again. He kind of breaks it off on a... they don't hurt each other, but Vinny and Ray are both like, it is what it is type of deal. And so that's what happens with that. After that happens, Ray again, this is kind of where makes it campy in the A range. He's like so sad that he's gonna like move out into like the outback kind of thing. It's a trailer. Brittany goes to live with her mother, and he's like starts driving taxis, but he's going to go. It's just like more of like the characterization of, oh, I'm so sad because of love. It's just like, come on, it's a TV show, make it just something different. And so that kind of development is really why I kept it in the B+ range at the beginning. The stealing the guns fails. I thought that shit was nice. Even the non-violent plot developments I thought were fun. The banter was fun. But that kind of is the last of Vinnie Williams. And the last major development is Freddie sets up Ray. Remember, they were mates. Freddie was a main employer of Ray, and certainly wouldn't think that Freddie would be setting up Ray. So again, they had the tiffs and the back and forth with the biker people. It's not exactly sure. I thought he got all the major biker people, but apparently not. So Freddie tips off Ray to say, hey, these biker people are going to come and get you. And Ray's like, where are they at? I'm going to go on the offensive. And so Freddie gives Ray an address, and it's a setup. Ray and Dave go, and they pull up this address, and it's really just like there's no apparent like building. They just started getting fired on. So Dave gets hit in the shoulder. They run to like a barn house. There's a chase. He dies in this barn house. Another good violent scene is there's 3 dudes trying to come and kill Ray. He's in this like abandoned house in the outback somewhere. He sets one dude goes in the house. 2 dudes are patrolling the perimeter. And he sets the one dude, sneaks up behind one dude, sets him on fire. He runs out of the building. The younger dude of the crew like looks at him. Ray blows his head off with a shotgun that the dude on fire brought into the house, and then chases down this older guy in the biker gang, and sets him up with a tool, whatever gun Gary bought for Ray in season 1. Whatever gun that is, that's a cool little tool, I think. But I don't know what type of gun that is. So that's kind of the last setup, is Ray murks those dude, goes and confronts Freddie. I was actually surprised he didn't murk Freddie, but it looks like he let him go. Maybe for old time's sake. But certainly probably the last Ray would be friends with Freddie if the seasons were to continue. But so that's really the last development with Freddie. And then Ray, you see him, some time has gone by, you don't get any time length. But he has, a little bit of a beard, and he's wearing a taxi uniform, and he's driving taxis. So it picks up these 2 dudes, and they're driving. They ask him to take him to some beach. I don't know if it's an actual beach or just like an area in Australia. But then they start driving there. One's in the back, and one's sitting next to Ray. And, they change the radio station. Ray changes it back, changes it back, and then they start talking. Like the 2 passengers are talking to each other, like, "Huh, maybe somebody's gonna die here tonight." And Ray just gets his smile and looks into the camera, like, "What was that, guys?" And then that's the end of the season. So it wasn't apparent to me. Typically, like, it's always interesting to me when the show gets canceled, if they just release the whole show. This one looks like it was released the whole show and then got canceled, as opposed to a planned ending to the season. Because 3 seasons of a show isn't very long, and with the final scene, it certainly looked like they were planning on having another season. So not sure why it was canceled. I would certainly watch another couple seasons of this. Again, I really like the characterization of Ray, nonchalantness paired with a good production of violence. The in-between scenes of just, not violence, of just, casual conversations. The philosophical things aren't super great, but the humorous ones I thought were actually funny and good, well done in this show. Like they do in season 2, they reference 9/11. And this one, actually, when Ray and Dave are going to get the biker dudes, they debate fucking aliens, which I thought was a funny scene. And the ones that look just like us, yeah, it's like thinking Asian people or African people or American people are super different. So that's probably a fucking alien if it was to biologically do that, and they look exactly like us. I don't know, it's just a different rock. I don't know. And Dave was with it. Dave was definitely gonna fuck the alien too, just to say he fucked an alien. So those types of scenes were funny. A couple, not even super off-putting, but just restricting the grade from being ranked higher. Again, Ray cries one time about after the Zoe. So again, the love lost scenes don't really do anything for me. Well done violence, well done plot development, like the humorous scenes, like the episode length. So thoroughly enjoyed it, definitely recommend it. And thank you for watching my review of Mr. Inbetween Season 3. See you on the next one.